Yeah, and
But yeah,
Alex
I
is
think
spot on.
having the that ace in the back pocket is probably good, just in case. And then you can go to it. I mean, I always thought that too, that I could eat cheap keto, although it would never be processed keto. That was my thing because I'll do whole food keto, but I'll never do a Quest bar again my whole freaking life. I'll tell you that, which was a keto bar, right? Or any of those things that are in a package that are quote unquote keto. I just won't do them.
Well, I'll let you guys answer Maribel's question. She says, how do you suggest one begin after doing a low carb keto, which I think is the perfect on ramp? But what do you think, Todd? I mean, what do you think would be a good way to go more into the carnivore spectrum?
For me, because I was in, I failed keto twice, but that was because I was eating the processed keto crap the first
Right.
two times.
Me too.
Yeah, and so I believed in it. I knew that it's weird because unlike any other diet, I knew it was me. I was doing something wrong because I'd had too many successful meals and things that made me feel good and was making my situation better. But I knew I was screwing something up. So when I tried it the last time, I was like, okay, I was down to your point there. I was going to just eat whole food keto, and basically I was just going to eat carnivore plus cruciferous vegetables for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that, but I was eating a lot of dairy, and I turned it into truly what carnivore is, which is an elimination diet, and I just started eliminating things 3 days at a time. And if it was hard to eliminate, I would cut it in half of what I was eating, and then just whittled it down. I did, for instance, cheese was a texture. Cheese and like sour cream on taco salads, it was kind of a break in texture for me. So I replaced it with boiled eggs, hard boiled eggs. I was chopping those up and I used that as a replacement for cheese. It's not a great replacement, but at least it was a textural thing. But anyhow, what I noticed was that elimination part had some degree of success for me because as I was eliminating those things down, I could get a real kind of data point of what it was really doing for me and what it wasn't and what was hurting me, which I'd never done that before. I was just kind of all over the board trying this and that and whole big groups. But when I finally started using it as a proper elimination diet, man, that was the ticket for me because I found out everything that was hurting me. So I would start at wherever you're at on keto ish right now and start picking one thing that you suspect might be hurting you and eliminate it for 3 days and don't change anything else and see if it was hurting you.
Yeah.
And then just move on. And I know it's not the magic pill that we all want, and so it is a process. But man, that process for me, that seemed to be one of the things that made the difference.
And I think another way you could approach it if you want a little faster is you could, well, first off, eliminate anything that's a packaged keto product that's like processed. So if you're talking keto, we're talking whole foods. Okay. So, okay, you're going to do some keto, great. But you're not going to be putting seed oil salad dressing on a salad and calling that keto. That's a no go, right?
Right.
So, you want to do buttermilk, fine. You want to do sour cream, fine. You can do things that aren't processed. But what I would say is I've seen people do this, and I think it might work. Is switch your first meal to a carnivore meal, breakfast. Just make it all carnivore, right? Just meat and eggs, and that's it. Boom. Then rotate the next week. Your first and second meal become carnivore meals, and then the third week or fourth week you can go to all carnivore, and then your snacks are carnivore snacks. Do bacon, so you can start easing that into it, and then of course whole food keto. So
Yeah,
that might be a way to go.
that was exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, do like Todd said, remove one thing keto-ish and
Yeah,
replace it with one thing
there you go.
carnivore-ish, and then maintain that. But I suspect, and again, we all know we're different, but we also have commented about how similar we are. I believe a lot of people go into keto with great intentions and great discipline, and then the marketing grabs you. And I want to say it was Limitless Lindy who came up with limitless wisdom that says keto doesn't mean you can have double the helping, right? So a lot of this stuff is just, we are, Larry and I were talking about earlier, this instant gratification, instantaneous society means that we're making more decisions about things than other people did 300 years ago by far. And I hate to say it, but Buttercup, you got to buckle up. There are things you got to do all day. And as one pastor of mine said, when you say yes to this, you're saying no to that. So we need to trim down our thoughts. We need to not expect instant answers. And we don't need to instantly trust everything we read or see. I mean, you really do have to become the driver of what you're doing. So that does mean you look at labels as was suggested. It means you sit down, you think for at least a brief second or two. Do I need this or do I want this? What am I feeling? That's another important part of the whole journaling. I'm an emotional eater. When I get stressed, particularly 90 days or so ago, Katie barred the door. I'm standing in the refrigerator. Just, my wife go, "Are you stressed?" No. Right? Like the Cookie Monster. And so I do believe that we need to see and identify where our emotional triggers are, if that tends to be one of our issues, and find something to supplant, because nature abhors a vacuum. Just because you quit a behavior doesn't mean you're not going to be fertile grounds for another one to jump up and bite you. So it might be conducive, if you can, to sit and say, I'm going to drink a big glass of water, hot or cold, whatever you like, and I'm going to go walk around the house. I'm going to go to the backyard, back and back one time. And when you come back, because we all know hunger comes in waves, am I still really hungry? Do I really need to eat? How far away is my next planned meal? Nah, I think I'm good. But just to put in a program pause in your journey, and I think that'll help you, Maribel.
I actually have a video where I talk about that, where I talk about exactly what you said, things you can do when you are confronted with a hunger signal, because our hunger signals are broken when you're on the standard American diet. And so when you initially start, you think you're hungry all the time, but a lot of times it's just emotional. It's bored. You're bored. You just want to eat. You're stressed. You want to eat. But really, if you drank some water or some soda water, or if you took a minute and walked outside in the sunlight and just sat in the backyard for a minute, or if you took a task and did it, like I'm going to do the dishes right now, and started doing that, by the time you're done, you're not hungry anymore. And that means it was an emotional trigger, probably, most likely, because your stomach's not growling, you're not feeling weak, right? I mean, so that is one of the videos I did, and I think that's an important thing to be able to delay and then also replace. So if you do need a snack, then have snacks ready. Get some bacon cooked up. Get something you're going to have ready that, okay, I am really hungry. Now what am I going to do? Well, there's nothing in the fridge. All there is garbage. So you can get cheese sticks, like as they say, they're all cheese. You can get like the cheese string cheese. I get that for my son, and I eat those sometimes. Not very often, but every now and then I'll grab one. Or you can get the bacon. There's things you can do. Just get prepared for when you do have a real hunger signal that you're going to eat a healthy snack.
That's a fact.
It's amazing. I think I mentioned something like this maybe 3 weeks ago. How much prep time we will put into going on a vacation.
Yeah.
Right? We'll even prep for getting ready for work. Right? But do we prep for this battle of our lifetime?
Yeah.
Right? So I think there's a lot of great tips here for everybody to sit there and say, if you're embarking on this journey, and also maybe for remembering, because like the other day I saw someone made cheese crisps. And I thought, I could do this.
Right? Yeah, I had 2 points there on what you're talking about. Was one on the find something to kind of give yourself a little bit of time to just see if it was a wave there, and then being prepared. What I did by accident, I was just thinking it, like an engineer's brain. When I found out that you had 2 types of appetite control, one was leptin and the other one's the stretch sensors in your stomach. And those will both shut off hunger. But obviously I didn't have leptin sensitivity. So I was like, well, since the first line of appetite suppression or whatever, satiation is down, offline, then if I'm having one of these emotional deals that I was about to derail me, I was like, I'm just going to go and run to the fridge and I'm going to eat bacon or steak until I hit those stretch markers and shut that off in my head.
Yeah.
And I'll be danged if that didn't work tremendously. And it did two things for me. One, it did shut that down. And two, it made me start craving the thing that I would run to when I was in that weird emotional whatever it was. And so then all of a sudden, there's some sort of relationship there when I would feed it the bacon or the steak when I was having this freak out moment. It only took like maybe 3 weeks, and I'd have that freak out moment, and I was like, I got to go get a ribeye, and I was like, wait a minute, what? Not a,
That's classic training, positive reinforcement. You can do this. They do it all the time for people who have. When I did some PTSD things, some training I had to go through was, you have a memory, and every time you pull the memory out of your memory bank, you pull it out in the time frame you're in now, and then when you put it back in your memory bank, it's not the same as the original.
Right.
A number of years now. So what I had to do is learn to associate positive things with here and now, and not the negative things of there and then, right? So
right.
It happens all the time. We do it a lot. It's very, very powerful way to reprogram some perceptions we hold.
So
Well, and
my
go
go-to
ahead.
snack right now is just butter. I'll go get a slice of butter, and that'll satiate me and gives me a healthy fat. And I get the omega-3, grass-fed, grass-finished butter from Costco because it's not expensive and tastes good. So I mean, you don't have to like stock your fridge just with snacks. You could just go get some butter. It'll work better than cheese.
Totally. Yeah, and I did just another thing that I'm surprised by listening. I didn't realize that the stress or whatever was such a trigger for everybody because it seems to be a common denominator. Because every time I fell off the wagon, it would happen the same time over and over again in keto. It would be that I would be hungry, but I wouldn't eat before I went to bed, so I go to bed hungry. I would not sleep. I would wake up miserable and full of cortisol. And then I would go and I hadn't prepared enough stuff, so everything seemed to be a pain in the butt, like, oh, I'm going to have to unfreeze this or thaw that out or whatever. So then I'd sit there and I'd find myself ordering DoorDash. I'd be like, no, I'm going to get something healthy on DoorDash. And before it's said and done, I'm like, oh, there's nothing open that's healthy. I guess I'm going to have a cheat day. And then my addict brain would go, well, you might as well get everything that you've been craving so you can get it out of your system. And then $120 DoorDash order later, I was fully off the rails,
Yeah. So being prepared. I mean, we would never go on a ruck march or go into battle without some type of IPB, some preparing the battle for IPB, preparing the battle. So having snacks on hand, making sure you have your electrolytes on hand, right? But also, I think it's really good to know, what do you like? I mean, go at this. Like, if you like string cheese, have string cheese. If you like bacon, have bacon. I think I love. I don't want to offend anybody, but I love me some chicken lips and elbows. Hot dogs. I love hot dogs.
Yeah, you can do hot dogs. That's good too. And then the other thing is have a plan. So when you do feel that hunger, before you give in to just going to get a snack, because it might not be, then have that plan and test it. Say, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to pull some weeds or something, or I'm going to sit down in front of my computer and finish these emails before I decide if I'm going to get some of the food. And then after you've done that, or maybe have a water while you do it, then decide, okay, now do I need that snack? So have the snacks ready, but don't go immediately to them. Just, start training yourself like we have here. I mean, everyone does that. So
Yeah, and it absolutely works too because, I was just thinking today. So I hooked up with Raymond at Steak and Butter Gang. He's coaching me now because I just, I was always flying by the seat of my pants and just doing whatever was working. But I got some things I want to understand and do better. But it was a funny conversation today because my whole life, 27 years, it was about not eating so much calories or sugar or whatever. I was eating too much crap. I was drinking too many calories.
Yeah.
And then today, what he's coaching me on is he wants me to reprime, and now it's going to be one of the harder things I've had to do in a while because I got to figure out how to eat 3 meals a day. And I'm like, this is going to be crazy. I've made a full circle. I went from trying not to eat, and now I don't know how I'm going to eat all this dang meat in a day, you know? So all I was saying as far as where I'm at now, however this worked out or whatever, I don't even have to worry about those cravings anymore. The meat is so satiating that just one steak a day even will keep you completely from going off the rails because the cravings are just gone.
Yeah.
Yep. But I think if you use the same technique you talked about for reprogramming, negative with reinforcement of positive in the food you ate, I think again, if you sit down and you say to yourself, I'm reprogramming to the 3 meal a day. I'm not going to eat all of it in one. So take whatever you would do in 3 or in 1 meal, split up in 3, and then add 25% more to each meal.
And I'm going to try that. I asked him that specific thing. I said, can I? And so my normal meal, I'm OMAD, I've been OMAD about 11 months or something. But my normal meal is between 1.5 and 1.8 pounds of meat. That's what I eat most commonly, you know? And so I asked him that. I said, well, can I eat like 1 pound of meat in the morning and then eat another pound? And he goes, no, you got to eat until you're stuffed every time. And I'm like, oh, God, if I eat till I'm stuffed the first meal, it's going to be brutal to get that. Like the idea of eating until I'm stuffed and then eating at noon, I might actually get that meat inversion stuff. And he goes, it's going to be brutal for you because you've been doing OMAD for so long. But he said it's going to be worth it because I do think I'm under eating. And I've been suspecting that for a while because I just feel kind of a slowdown in my metabolism and my energy levels just kind of coming down, but so are my calories and so I think I got to get it in. So I'll be reporting back after this week of priming.
I think you just need to do exactly what you've already done before that worked for you before. Map it out, have it understood, know your whys, have it readily available. And I think what you'll find is that your stomach will accommodate quicker than your brain. So, and if you know this is the case, then have your brain food ready. Have your pictures up, the whole what do they call that board? They sometimes a dream board.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
Yep, I know what you're talking about. Yep, goals.
Yeah, have a dream board, a goal board. Say, okay, and also know that there are exit ramps. I mean, sometimes we go into things and we don't think that there's ever a way off, a way out, and there's a pressure created just by that. If you know at any point in time you can get off a ride or do something, then it's not so bad, right?
Right.
So I think, use all the mental Jedi mind trick judo stuff you can figure out because only you know yourself best. I would even, for you, Todd, I would even go tonight and I would get into scripture and do a word search and find 30 verses that you can cut and paste and put in your phone so that it'll be right there for you when you start to feel this challenge. And you can say, I'm going to look at this and take my comfort that way because that's a big part of your life. I think earlier, Nana was talking about looking for things that are fun outside of food.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think that is extraordinary for you. So I do a lot of artwork, and I do music, and I do woodworking, and I'm working on my pavilion. And I think having things that are, for me, a passion is when you do it, you lose track of time.
Right, you do.
Right?
Yep. One thing I've been saving so much time not cooking and buying groceries and stuff that one thing I always wanted to learn how to do is play the guitar. And so I've been using that time. I'm like, I'm going to learn to play the guitar before I die.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it minimalizes your life a lot, right?
It does. And that's one of my favorite parts of it. People keep saying that it's restrictive.
Freeing.
Man, it's freeing. Like, I can't believe how much time I spent grocery shopping, cooking food, regretting what I just ate, throwing it away, taking the garbage out, cleaning the dishes, scraping burnt crap off of pans, you know, all this nonsense. And now I got like one air fryer for that I cook 90% of my stuff on, that I just wipe off when I'm done using it. And it's just like, it's so simple. It's literally my entire eating process is 25 minutes out of the day now, you know?
Yeah, me too. It's liberating. For one, controlling your once you control your urges and your cravings and your addictions, when you get control of and you basically control your whole body at that point, you're just like, that is super empowering. And then you just start commanding all this time where you're not going to restaurants, because restaurants are a huge time suck too. And I used to at least twice a week. You're not going to grocery stores. You're not cleaning up as much. My garbage is about a quarter of what it used to be when
Right.
I don't throw any stuff away anymore. I mean, I have way less garbage my garbage can is never full unless I'm putting grass cuttings in it. That's the only
Right.
time it gets full. It was just amazing because I used to always have multiple bags going out, and I have a garbage can. I have to take it out at the end of the week, and it's not even full half the time.
Right.
So I just want to get it out of the house, and it's crazy. And I have a
I know.
teenage boy here. I mean, that's really crazy, right? Because you think, it used to be like Doritos and all that stuff in there, and dips and drinks.
A lot of boxes and cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Boxes, cans,
seasoning
plates. Yeah.
and ingredients, right? And then of course all the wasted food, right? That we always have to throw away. It goes bad in the fridge. Nothing that doesn't happen now.
Yep. I was going through I'm going to make a video on people that are saying they can't afford carnivore, you know?
Yeah.
And I was going to make a video because honestly, I knew it just at the end of the month that I have way more money now. And I couldn't quite quantify it, but I have way more money now. And yes, my meat is way more expensive than it was before because I'm eating higher quality stuff. But I started making this list, and you know what I don't buy is I don't buy soda, I don't buy snacks, I
Right.
don't buy iced coffees in the morning, I don't buy candy bars or whatever in the afternoon, I don't drink alcohol, I don't buy coffee, I don't buy tea, I don't buy sparkling water, I don't buy any of this stuff like the fruit and stuff that goes bad in the fridge.
No condiments.
No
Yeah,
condiments.
no ingredients.
Yeah, and then you know what else? I don't use aspirin like I used to use.
Yeah,
I don't
I
use
know.
Tums, Pepto-Bismol,
Allergy pills.
allergy pills. Yeah,
I've got a
antihistamines.
lifetime supply of allergy pills now. If I take one a week, I can last the rest of my life. I guarantee it. Another 50 years at least.
Right, even toilet paper. Even toilet paper
yeah,
lasts
a lot
me
less.
longer. Yeah, it's just like I started adding it up, and I'm like, I figured that I'm saving on carnivore $1,400 a month, and that's being conservative.
Well, but I did put together, because I have people that in my group that are on really tight budgets. They're like, elderly on Social Security, right? So they're on a very fixed budget, and they're like, how do I do it? So I put together, and I use Walmart as an example. Not that I think everyone should shop at Walmart, because they should, but I know Walmart's everywhere in America. So I'm like, here's the prices. And I put together a BBB&E, which is bacon, butter, beef, and eggs diet. It's just an example for one person, and they buy for $170. They can get a whole month's worth of food, and that's 30 pounds of beef. And so if you go to 180, you can actually add some steaks in too. So it's 30 pounds of ground beef, and you just get those tubes, 80/20, break them down into 1 pound bags, and roll them with a roller in the Ziplocs and freeze them. Stack them in the freezer, and then you have 30 pounds of beef there. Then you have you have 72 eggs, or no, you have 4 eggs a day, enough for 4 eggs a day, with 2 slices of bacon and a pound of beef every day, plus a couple tablespoons of butter. It gets you to about 1,600 calories. Now you can add steaks and add a couple of things, but for under $200, you can do this for one person. And that's on if you guys go to my YouTube channel, I actually posted it with all the calories and the macros for each thing and the prices, which were last week in Texas. It's in my community link on my YouTube channel.
That's
And
awesome.
you guys, please share it.
Yeah, I will.
Steal it. Go copy and paste it and put it on your thing. I mean, just
I'm gonna go watch it because I am gonna make a video on that.
no, it's not a video. It's a community post. So go
community
steal
post.
it and then you add it to your video. Yeah, just
Yeah.
take the numbers. Just look and you can go reproduce it, and you can add whatever you want to it. But I'm just saying that's just BBBE without steaks,
Yeah,
and you can do it for $200 or less.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's amazing. I just went to Costco, and in our area, ribeyes are 18.75 a pound, and
Wow.
yeah, I'm in a stupid tourist type area, and New York strips are about 17.50 a pound. But even here, Costco just had a sale on strip loin roasts where they were $8.57 a pound. So I bought six of them. Yep,
Nice.
I bought six. So you can get. I mean, it's ridiculous that I can get like 16 steaks out of a roast for $110.
Yeah. That's
It's
awesome.
incredible. Yep.
well, I think another thing we need to look at, and I did this about 3 weeks ago. I got a picture on my phone somewhere. What does your spice cabinet look like now?
Yeah.
How much
Empty.
spices cost?
So
I
much.
know.
Right? You open the closet. I got a whole new place. You don't need flour. You don't need sugar. You don't need saffron. You don't need 17 types of pepper and all the other things. You don't need pumpkin spice and cinnamon. You have I would have two full cabinets available with nothing on it.
Mm-hmm.
But someone brought up earlier, and I'm trying to find this. Someone brought up a very good point about the cost and expenses. Perhaps part of it is because some people are buying for themselves and for family members who haven't, gone over.
Committed. Yeah.
So
True.
they're doing two diet forms at one time, and
My
that is
my sister's
salad.
doing that right now because she went carnivore, but her family's still eating. But it's so funny because she's like, if you're not eating carnivore and you're gonna snack, you don't get any steaks.
Yep. So yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, these are all positive things that we don't know until we experience it too. And some of these things you cannot. Is it not amazing how you cannot convince people sometimes? They just don't want to believe it, right? And I can pull up my blood test. Everybody in my circle of influence know I have a butter problem. I don't think it's a problem, but consider, because I eat pound and a half of butter a week, right? Easily. And then I got my blood test back, and I was like, well, gosh, my total cholesterol is still better than yours,
Yeah.
and all this other stuff is still better than yours, and I've lost 30 plus pounds, but I know that butter's bad for me, so I'm sorry. I'll just have to hurt myself some more so I lose another 30 pounds.
But if you were in a donut shop eating 3 donuts with a cup of coffee, they'd be like, "Hey, man, how's it
Yeah.
going?"
Nobody would care.
You
Nobody
know?
would care.
No, they like it.
In fact, tomorrow morning I'm getting up at dark 30 because I do a men's fellowship breakfast at my church, and I'm gonna be buying a couple dozen donuts, and it'll
Right.
be the second time in a row I'm gonna get them, but I'm not gonna eat them.
Right.
Right.
Have a cup of coffee. You guys can eat the donuts. I'm gonna go get a bunch of biscuits from the local biscuit store. They're gonna be sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits and bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits, and I'll have a couple dozen of those. And nothing says church like food, right? But
Totally.
we'll come in and do a little fellowship. But I'm not gonna have them. I'm not gonna beat you guys up for doing it, and you're not gonna beat me up for not doing it. It's gonna be all right.
Absolutely. I got a pretty good laugh out of Sean Baker this morning because I was telling him about my last visit with the doctor, and it was a Skype call or a, Zoom call. 'Cause that was during kind of COVID stuff. So, and I couldn't get out of the house before then. So he was just Zoom calling me, and he was doing a checkup. And when he'd seen me last, I was well over 700 pounds. I was on oxygen. I, wasn't, I was waking up not breathing. My pulse was high. My oxygen saturation was low. Just everything was miserable. And I really thought, everybody was worried that I wasn't going to wake up one of these days. And so I call him. It's 7 months later, and it's time for a checkup. And I'm down 200. It was like 215 pounds I was down. I was off the oxygen. My color was back. My oxygen saturation at the time was like 91 off of oxygen, which was like 3 points higher than it was when I was on oxygen. And I tell him what I'm doing, and of course he goes, well, that's good and everything, but I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned about your diet.
Yeah, right.
So he starts to go in on it, and I told him, I just something clicked in me, and I just sat back and I was like, You know what? I think you might be the one that needs medical attention because I think you're having some kind of aneurysm right now. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm standing here right in front of you, mobile again, 200 pounds plus down, off the oxygen, and you are now worried about my condition where before you weren't so worried. There was just this routine thing. Take this, call me in 3 months, and tell me how much worse you are.
Yeah.
That was it.
Keep sending my kid through college. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, I mean, I get so infuriated because I've been in the ICU twice. Didn't have insurance either time. First one was like $48,000. My second one was $6,000 bills to be in the ICU, just so they could pump me full of oxygen. They weren't worried about my diet when they were racking up those bills.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Well, I tell you, the thing of it is, and we spoke about this a little earlier about not getting too much into bashing the doctors in the medical field and all that. I think it would be incumbent upon each of us now with the knowledge we have. Like I went to my doctor, I called my doctor up because of the whole pandemic, my annual physical schedule kind of got jacked around. And I called my doctor up about a month ago, and I said, "Hey," or I did a online, right? And I said, I think I need to get some blood work done. And we didn't do my annual, and I'm starting a program where I'm losing a little bit of weight, and I want to baseline it. I'm not telling them what I'm doing. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And I had, like I said, yesterday I went, it was yesterday I went and got the shots of my liver done. We don't have the results. I'd have tomorrow or something, but other than that, I'm not sharing about my lifestyle change. I'm telling them what they want to hear. Yeah, I'm
But-
watching what I'm eating and I'm exercising.
But I gotta stop you right there. There's something in the core of my being that will not, because I thought about that stuff too, and I want to get this perfectly straight too. I understand, there's so many great doctors that are all in this for the right reason. My doctor's not trying to hurt me. It's just this procedure, and this is what they know. But there's something in the core of my being that does not want to have to not tell my doctor the truth so that I don't get chastised by my medical professional that I'm paying to talk to me. Like that seems so ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying because you for sure, if we're gonna make a change, right, we can't make enemies and just be flaming the fire everywhere. But I just couldn't do it with this guy. And I don't even, it's not like I'm blaming him. I know he's doing what he was taught. But I will say this, just like Sean Baker and, Ken Berry and all these guys that were in the same boat and they backed up and said, hey, this isn't working, right? Well, there's a problem here and what we're being taught's not working. That's all that I do want to put a little bit of onus on them to say, if you've been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years and you're seeing this keep coming back to you, there still has to be a time just ethically and morally that these people should look into it at least question their own training that's not working. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah, but I think you can go into that argument and make a better case for yourself
I agree.
if you go into them 400 pounds lighter,
Totally.
right? And you said, because I've known other people in our circle here who said the very same thing. If every time we tell someone what we're doing and they give us that stank face look and that shock and horror look, we're the ones to blame because we know what we're going to get. So
Right.
instead of doing this, they said, look, I'm down 400 pounds. If you want to know what I did, this is what I did. Go look at all my videos. Go look at all the things I've done and see the proof in the pudding now. Like Larry could do that too, because he's gone through the fire, and it just carries so much more weight.
Agreed.
Notwithstanding what you said, you are absolutely right. I believe, Todd, to sit there and say, in my frustration and in my, why did I have to suffer like this? Because you should have brought me here,
Right.
right?
Right. And
But there's right and dead right.
right. No, and I totally agree with that. It's kind of like trying to preach to somebody that's not wanting to hear it, right? You can't shove it down their throat. But the only difference is that I'm not I'm not paying people I'm trying to save to, to diagnose me, right? So that's the only reason why it gets under my skin a little bit, but I totally do agree. My dad used to say it all the time, sacrifice some battles to win the war. You don't have to win every battle, keep the big picture in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we all know this. Sometimes, and that's one good thing about being in here, right? Is that when we're amongst friends and people of a like nature, we can have our gripes. I know I wanted to call it something else in the military. We call this session something else. But when we're faced with people, we know decorum, and we know since look, we have been, all of us who were at the beginning of our journey, and Todd, you could be helping. We know what social bullying is,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
right? We know that, so we're not going to be a purveyor of that. But every once in a while, we want to talk about getting a good lick in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because it's in our nature.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Like I brought this up on the steak and butter gang the other day. They're asking how you deal with the social aspect of a restrictive carnivore diet. And this this is true. I started having fun with it because, sure, like let's say at Thanksgiving or something, they'll be like, "Oh, is that all you're eating? That's crazy. This is nuts. You can't do that. It's not healthy. Yada yada yada." And I just ignore them. But what's funny, what I revel in now is after everybody eats and we're sitting in the living room and everybody is moaning and groaning and saying they're going to take a nap and they feel sick and they need Tums, I
Yeah.
just start going in on them because that's my favorite time to drop elbows. I'm like, oh, but I ate the food that's supposed to make my heart explode and fall out on the table and I'm supposed to drop dead right here. Yet I'm not the one suffering with gas and indigestion and feeling terrible. Because when they get like that, they go into this rhetoric about all their health problems, right? That rolls into, oh, I got to go see my doctor. I got to do a diet. I got to do this and that. And that's just, they finally shut up around me because that's when I start dropping elbows because it's just hilarious.
Well, and again, we all know the situation where we can do that, and you can be good natured about it. And
For sure.
there's always that one person in your circle that you do want to do the old George of the Jungle Nairobi knee drop on. I know I'm dating myself, but in the end, we probably end up doing we end up doing the right thing, and treating people with courtesy and respect, and say, look, particularly when you get one on one, right? When you get one on one, you can tell a person, look, when you're tired of being sick and tired, give me a call.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to sit down with you and work through the details, and more importantly, I will stand with you in that foxhole, right?
Right.
And I think people will be drawn to that gracious attitude
Absolutely.
in combination with the success. Like Lindy is going to be able to go to anybody who's known her for the last 25 years, and they're going to go after they pick the jaw up and bring the jaw back there. Same for you, Todd. When they bring, and I don't know about you, Larry. I don't know how many of your military buddies you've seen in the last month that you hadn't seen for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of going, right? When you're ready and you want to know, let's have a conversation one-on-one. Not a big social confab and pressure, because I think we're going to win the hearts and minds of a lot of people who are in a lot of pain emotionally because of our successes, because of what Carrie's doing with the documentary, right? What all these doctors are doing. Because the last thing I want to do is like have someone come up to me and say to me, like when I was a young man, I wanted to be a Christian so bad. I knew in my heart I wanted to be. I didn't know how to be. I didn't have a family to help me, and the people who were in it didn't know how to reach to me. I used to be angry at them, and finally I learned they don't know how to reach. I mean, kids in a youth group don't know how to reach. Parents and adults should, but kids don't. But you go to the wrong sources sometimes, and when they give it to you, it's like, what was that old song by Meatloaf? Dashboard Lights.
Paradise by Dashboard Lights.
Right. Sometimes we go to the wrong places at the wrong times, to the wrong people, asking the wrong questions, and then that's a self-fulfilling, feeding tornado of destruction. Instead of being people said to say, when you're ready, come talk to me, and we're gonna hook you. We're gonna hook you up. Right? I think that'll work out really good.
Yeah, no, I totally believe it. And I mean, I think what you're kind of, to simplify it even, you're saying just lead by example, which I've
Yeah.
always, that's absolutely, you know, it's not your ideology that changes people. It's the fruit of your life, right? That changes people when they are struggling and they see that you're blessed in this certain area. When things get bad and they get brought to their knee, they're going to be asking questions. And yeah, that's absolutely true. I got to clarify, these are my friends and family. I'm giving a hard time. We are the most sarcastic group of people you've ever met in your life. So this is just a good old fashioned ribbon with, my inner circle. I either leave people alone, and I totally agree with you. I've been saying I want to wait until I can bring the receipts. When I can sit here and bring the receipts and say I'm down 450 pounds. Tell me, please tell me how this is bad for me.
Yeah,
And
that's
you
what I did with that grass fed argument they had the other night when someone was like saying that I can't do it unless I'm doing grass fed. And I showed my picture. I'm like, here you go, 6 months, down 44 pounds from 280 to 233, 234, 46 pounds. I'm like, and all muscle now. I'm like, and I'm running sprints at 57 years old. So tell me how that doesn't work.
Right.
Please explain that one to me and show me your pictures while we're at it.
Right, and also, were you so discerning and so careful about all the bad things that you ate that got you in this position? Like, were you worried about grass-fed Taco Bell?
Right. Right. I eat hot dogs still every now and then, and I'm still getting the great results. And they're like, well, you can't. And I'm like, well, and I said, here's the other problem with the argument is there's people that can't afford it, and there's also people, even if they could afford it, can't get it. In the military, if you're on a remote base, you have the commissary, and they don't have grass fed there. I guarantee it. And then you have the DFAC, the dining facility, and you get to eat what they give you, which is not great beef, but it's like McDonald's patties, right? But you know what? It works on that. And I say, here's Kelly Hogan. Here's another receipt. Show me how burgers aren't going to help me, and table salt isn't going to work. Show me that, please.
Right.
Explain it.
And when you go to them with the receipts that are 6 months, a year, 18 months, and all these people. So, but again, I just out of an abundance of not caution but propriety, right? I say that these are people who have been hoodwinked, and I think when we go to them we say things, maybe kind of what we're saying, like, well, how's it working out for you? I'm gonna show you what I did. How's it working for you out? Maybe there's a space where you do that 90-day induction thing, and use words that aren't fearful. Carnivore is fearful, Carnivore is roar, caveman, dinosaur. I mean, you sit there and say, look, I'm getting rid of the processed foods. I'm eating whole, because let's be very clear here. If you went from the SAD diet, right, Standard American Diet, to vegan, whole food vegan, you would do better for a short period of time.
Oh, of course.
So the common denominator for the underpinning of the dis-ease is the food you're currently eating. Let's look at some other ways of eating. And I think that would resonate with people without attacking them, right? Because
sure.
we do something. I know I've been guilty with my own wife, right? Just not being gracious enough.
I was just going to say gracious.
They're in the same place I was when I was in that deceived state.
Right. I was just going to say that because, grace is the most powerful thing. I learned that when I was young because I had a terrible gambling addiction when I was young. God, that thing was brutal. It was the second worst addiction I ever had in my life. And I'm starting to see a pattern. But I did. I had in Montana, there's a casino in every gas station and on every corner and in every grocery store. There's casinos everywhere. And when my dad told me to stay away from those things my whole life. And then of course I was with a buddy. I was like 17. I put $5 in one of those machines and I won like $800. And I was like, oh, well, this, which $800 might have been 200,000 to me at that time, So it was like this huge addiction. But I just remember I was fighting this thing. I mean, I was suicidal over this thing, and it had me just locked up for like 6 years, And I'd lost all my money yet again. And I was thinking about doing some real bad things. And my dad was just awesome. He knew it. But I was mainly, a lot of times, I was just totally ashamed of how stupid I was being. And I couldn't, I was just didn't want my dad to know because, he's, I just thought the world of him, And I remembered my dad knew something was up because I was at the end of my rope. And he just called me one day, and he didn't sit there and chew me out. And he didn't sit there and do any of this stuff. He goes, I forget what it was, but he was like, 1973. I had just got my paycheck, and I went into the Range Rider bar, and we needed bunk beds for Ray and Mike, and your mother was, picking out these beds, and we'd been talking about it because these kids were sleeping on the floor. And I went to the Range Rider bar, and I lost all the kids' money on blackjack.
Oh man.
And so my dad just came down to my level at the time because I just was thinking, I was the worst screw up on the planet, and that was just beating me up every day. And somehow Dad recognized that, and that was one of the most freeing things. It was one of the things that started me getting off of that roller coaster. Was Dad didn't chew me out. He didn't say I was an idiot. He he didn't do all that stuff. He somehow knew how to relate to me on that level, and it was that gracefulness of saying, and he just said, "You're young. We all do this stupid stuff. It's not the end of the world." And somehow he even knew that I must have been, in a really dark place, because he said, and, don't do suicide's a terribly permanent solution to a very temporary problem,
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and somehow he knew it, and that thing pulled me out of it. I mean, that was when everything started to change. So I know what you're talking about that grace. That thing will grab people, more so
Right.
than anything else.
And this video is going to be up on YouTube until either I take it down or they get mad or something like that, right? Somebody's going to come in here and they're going to see the three of us, they're going to see the comments, right? And, I think it's always worthwhile to be a voice of reason in this season of discontinuity everywhere you look, right? I mean, there's not a lot of places you can look, even in a lot of churches, where you can't look and find unity of thought and understanding. I don't mean single-mindedness. I don't mean automaton, but the idea that, we know that there are issues, and we know that we can be in control of a lot of it, and we need to wrest it back. And when we have it back, we need to do positive things with it and encourage people and let them know. Like I've already heard many times in the comments and in our conversation, not so much from Larry, but yours and my, Todd, we do tend to be self-denigrating, right? And that type of behavior pattern, when people hear it, they're going to immediately run for the hills, because it'll be just like something else they had, or it'll be the other side, which would be fire and brimstone. And a lot of people don't respond well to that either.
No, nobody, I don't think. But shame. I think what you're talking about, shame. Shame was my man. Going through a few things in my life, I learned the difference between guilt and shame. And boy, shame is way worse and puts you in way more bondage than guilt does,
Right.
Yeah, and that's what it was for me. But every time it was, just being ashamed of where I got. And it was really when I started learning that, that we're all flawed people, and you just got to let that stuff go and just walk away from it, And that's what I was saying the other day. I really kind of, not to preach too much, but there's a difference. I think I said this to you the other night, but this has always been a big thing about, what repentance means. It doesn't mean I'm sorry. Repentance is a very detailed phrase about, I think when I was researching, it was in Hebrew or whatever, but what it means is specifically is to turn away from something that you're doing currently, but not just to turn away from it. That's not enough. It's also telling you what you're turning to and what you're putting your new focus on, you know? And so, in order to do that, you can't carry that shame with you, because that shame keeps you looking back. It's kind of like a diet, right? Like in the old days, when in your old standard diet, have you ever been hungrier in your life than when you would start a new diet and make all these declarations of the things that you weren't going to eat? And the problem, and the problem was, I mean, other than it was a standard diet, but one of the problems with that system is you're not looking at what you are eating, you're looking at what you can't eat and worried about not falling. So you're still focused on all this, the bad things in your past and this thing that's holding you down. Where that's one thing that's so freeing about carnivore too. I no longer wake up thinking about what I don't want to eat today or what I hope to God I have the strength to not eat today. I wake up and go, oh, man, I wonder how much more energy I got today. I wonder how many more pounds I lost today. I wonder, how much better the day's going to be today. And I'm not looking, it's not like all those other diets where I was sitting there totally fixated on what I can't have and praying to God that I didn't fall today. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the whole idea. This is very freeing. I mean, we started off talking about the 3 macronutrients, right? Protein, fats, and carbs. All I'm restricting is one of the 3. I have 66% of the entire diet spent to eat. I think I can find something on the menu. I think I can go to the store and find something. I'm not limited at all. What I am not is I'm not having to remember rules. I'm not having to remember macros and calories and all the things that go along with it. And oh, by the way, I'm getting better.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like a magic miracle pill.
Right. It's fruitful. You're bearing fruit, right? As your efforts are actually fruitful instead of just the dead fig tree,
Yep. That's right. That's right. But speaking of dead fig trees, I've been on for 2.5 hours. It's 11:42 for me, and I got to get up dark 30 for this.
I gotta get off too.
But I hate leaving with all the beautiful people and I wish we could find a way to hand these off and
How many
let
people you got on?
What's that?
How many people are on?
I'm showing 34.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a
Yeah, I
ton.
gotta get to bed. I'm beat, and I got tomorrow's a big day for me, so I got stuff going on. But it's been great, guys.
Hey,
Heck
I
yeah.
appreciate you all coming in. I mean, again, for everybody who hasn't been here before, if this is your first time, this was not a planned live. No one knew this was going to happen beforehand. It's just that I try to most weeknights, Monday through Thursday for sure, sometime around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, to throw up a link and invite people, and we can talk about whatever we want to. And this is what we end up with, and it's been absolutely amazing. I thank you.
Heck yeah. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us.
Yeah, good night.
Absolutely.
I'm off.
Okay. Y'all take care. God bless, and we'll see you around. I'll be back on Monday, but I'll be hunting around on Saturday and Sunday, checking up on things. But
All right.
I'll see you guys around. You take care, and God bless. Anything else for you there, Todd?
Nope. I appreciate you guys stopping out and appreciate you guys chatting with me.
All right, y'all take care. And everybody in the chat, I really do appreciate it. I couldn't even get. There's so many people I haven't seen before with Kiwi Carnivore and Michael and Carnivore Nana and Sarah and Susan and Amazing Shelley and Ellen. It's awesome. You guys are inspiring and you're so uplifting, and I love the commentary. I hope everybody had a chance to go look other people's channels up if they have channels, and et cetera, et cetera. And from there, I think I'm just going to have to push the off button, as much as I hate to do it, to pull the plug. But you all take care. Again, Todd, thanks. And we need to get together offline to talk
Yeah,
a little
we
bit
do.
about our project.
Yep. No worries. You guys have a great night. I appreciate it. We'll see y'all.
Okay, bye-bye.